There are some simple yet actionable things you can do right now to become a better Airbnb host. And if you want to create passive income while having a fully automated short-term rental business, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Hey guys, my name is Jorge Contreras and I've been running short-term rentals for over 5 years now. And in this video, I want to share with you 5 ways to become a better Airbnb host. Now, before I do, one of the trickiest parts about running a short-term rental business is making sure that you are providing a 5-star experience for each and every guest. So let's break down those 5 ways. Number 1 is you have to understand the 5 categories. It's actually 6 categories now in which a guest will leave you a review to determine the overall experience. So let's go over them one by one. The first one is overall quality. And I feel like this one is self-explanatory, right? After your guests check out of your property, they're gonna get a message from Airbnb basically asking, hey, what was the overall quality? Like, what was the overall experience like at this property? And of course, you wanna be able to get a 5-star out of 5-star in each and every one. So the other 5 actually go more into detail. The first one is really cleanliness. Guys, I cannot emphasize how important this is. Your property needs to be so clean that people could literally lick the floors if they wanted to, right? I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna wanna lick the floors, but you get the point. Cleanliness is the absolute most important part of your review. You gotta make sure that your staff is on point. And so I wanna share with you a couple of tips on that I've been doing for the last 5 years to make sure that we get a 5-star experience like 95% of the time. So the first thing is that I have a communication thread with my cleaning staff, and I do include my maintenance person and also the person that helps me do communications. And those are the 3 operations, right? Cleaning, maintenance, and communication. And right now we are using Slack. You could use WhatsApp at the beginning, but as you start to grow and scale, it's easier to use Slack. Again, it's a free communication platform because you can create a channel for each and every property. So let's say I got 10 Airbnbs. I can put, hey, Airbnb number 1, Airbnb number 2, and so on and so forth. And each property will have their very own channel. So this way, when you are talking about property number 5, you put a message in property number 5, and everyone who's in that thread, which that message pertains to, will be able to see that message. So that's the first thing, is having a streamlined and effective communication. And the next thing that I do there is that I always have my cleaning staff post pictures after each and every cleaning inside of that thread for accountability. Because it's happened in the past where a guest checked in and they would message us and say, hey, we noticed that maybe the dishes weren't done, or this part of the property doesn't look very clean. And the truth is, sometimes guests lie. That's the truth. And so we want to make sure that we have those pictures for accountability, because you're also going to have a timestamp. So if you ever needed to, send these pictures as proof to Airbnb that the property was indeed, deep cleaned after each guest, you have those pictures now as proof. But again, it's also accountability, because if you have 1 or 2 Airbnbs, you could probably walk to your Airbnb, to your short-term rental, and verify that the cleaning was actually done and that they did a great job. But as you start to scale, as you start to launch in different cities, in different states, or in different countries, it's impossible for you to be at each and every property doing a walkthrough to make sure that the cleaning was done the way it needed to be done. So by them posting the pictures, again, it provides accountability. And I feel that it actually ensures that they're doing a great job, because they know that you're going to be looking at those pictures. One of the other things that I've done to ensure that our cleaning staff is creating a 5-star cleaning experience for each and every guest is making sure that we actually incentivize them. So one of the things that we've done in our company is every 6 months, there is a bonus incentive, meaning that if our cleaning staff gets 0 negative reviews, specifically to the cleaning metric, then they're going to get a bonus. And that bonus can be whatever you want, right? It's not as important how much, as long as it makes sense for you and your staff and you're creating a win-win. So this has actually highly boosted our reviews, kept us at Superhost status all these years, again, because our cleaning staff has an incentive to create that 5-star cleaning experience. So find a bonus that you could that you could provide your cleaning staff every 6 months. So this way they have an incentive to do a great job. The next metric is accuracy. Now this is a really important one also, and I'll share a quick story. One of my very first short-term rentals in 2017 was actually in a city called Boyle Heights, next to downtown Los Angeles. In short, it's not a very good city. It's not one of the safest cities in LA, and not often, but every once in a while, somebody would check in and they would leave me a bad review in regards to the actual location because they said they didn't feel safe. And again, this is 5 years ago, right? And so I purposely didn't tell people about the neighborhood because I felt that if I told them and if I was being transparent, then it would actually keep people from wanting to stay at the property. So I wasn't being honest. I wasn't being transparent. I was trying to hide it. And then my property review started just declining, and it just didn't, it basically costed me my Superhost status for a few months, or for 3 months because it's every quarter. And so in the description of the property, of course, I talked about how not only was it a great property, it was a great neighborhood. And so I wasn't being accurate with my listing. Another example, let's say that you mention in your description that you have parking for 2 vehicles for your unit, but they have to park in the street. But then they arrive and then there's no parking. Like, all these are examples of how your property listing could be inaccurate. And so this is one of the metrics, the second metric that they use again to validate whether your property is great for people to stay at or not. And so you want to make sure that you are being completely open, honest, transparent, and that your listing is accurate, meaning the pictures, the description, everything about your property, the way you describe it should be exactly the experience that your guests have. The next one is communication. And again, this one is also very important. So the metric that I use is I have my virtual assistants that I hire from other countries to do all my communications. They must respond to each and every inquiry within 5 minutes. So any question that a guest has, they have to answer it within 5 minutes. Of course, within the hours that they're working. And this also ensures that we're providing a great experience, because I've learned in the last 5 years that if there is something that, let's say, goes wrong, for example, this has happened a couple times, by the way, we set up a keyless entry at all of our properties to automate the entrance and exit of each and every guest. And every once in a while, we forget to change the batteries, and now the guests can't come in. It's not a huge problem that they can't come in unless you don't solve it right away. So let's say that they message us, but it takes us 3 hours to respond, and now they're standing outside of the unit for 3 hours. You can imagine that's a huge problem. If they can't access the unit, they could contact Airbnb and basically get a refund and say, hey, we can't get into the unit and we want to sleep, or we want to get in, or we have somewhere to go, and you'll have to refund them the full amount. But let's say they contact us and they say, hey, Jorge, we're outside the unit, we just got here and we can't open it. But my team responds or calls them within 5 minutes and says, hey, you know what? Someone's on the way. They'll be there in less than 10 minutes. Boom, it gets handled. And as long as you could provide solutions in a short amount of time, obviously it's better to prevent those issues from coming up, period. But if you could handle them in a short amount of time, guests really appreciate that. And so communication is super important. And there's really 3 phases of the communication, right? It's before they arrive, during their stay, and after they leave. Because sometimes guests will have questions maybe after they leave, like what if they forgot their wallet, or what if they have a question about anything. So point is that's the other metric, communication. The next one is check-in, and this one is pretty straightforward, meaning how streamlined, how easy, how was the experience of the check-in? Just like I talked about a little while ago, right? Did they get in and were easily able to access the property, or did they have to go through a bunch of stairs and a bunch of hallways and then had difficulty finding the property? So that's pretty straightforward, is how easy and seamless was the check-in experience. And then the last one is location. How was the location? And again, you want to be very transparent about the location, otherwise your reviews will start to decline, like with my first property 5 years ago. So make sure you're very transparent about the location and what they should expect. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the video so far, I would really appreciate it if you could smash that like button so that YouTube can push this video to more people and we could help more people become better Airbnb hosts. Here's another little bonus that's made a huge impact for us. Go to Costco and get a big box of like 100 chips. It's gonna cost you like 25 cents to 50 cents per bag of chips. Do the same thing, get a big box of like cookies and a large box or container of like water bottles. And imagine if you could put like $2 worth of goodies that the guest didn't expect. Again, this is not in your pictures, it's not in your description, it's more of that element of surprise. And so your guest arrived, and just imagine that there's a little personal note written that says, hey, welcome the Contreras family. And then there's a bunch of chips, cookies, some water bottles, just as a little welcome gift, right? It just makes them feel appreciative. They're gonna feel grateful just walking in because you're starting the experience with a gift. And this is that little element of surprise. Try it out. See how your guests respond. Often, most of the time, we get a message from the guest saying, hey, thank you so much. My kids enjoyed, the little gifts you left us. We really appreciate it. We didn't expect that. So that's just a little bonus there for you. Here are a couple other important things that will help you become a better host. Let's go. Number one, anything that requires explaining. For example, let's say you have a heated pool and jacuzzi, just like this property here. But often, like I know if I went and stayed at an Airbnb, I'm so terrible with instructions, like I wouldn't automatically know how to operate it. Plus, every system is different. So what we like to do is create a video, just like I am right now, explaining to people how to use the jacuzzi, how to turn on the heater for the pool and the jacuzzi. So anything that requires explaining, create a video for it. You don't have to be in the video like I am right now. You could literally just be, turn the camera the other way and just use your hands to explain exactly how you operate this. And then what you do is you take that video and you upload it to YouTube. You upload it as a unlisted video. Usually when you upload a video to YouTube, it's either private, public, or unlisted. Unlisted means that only the people who have that video link can actually access the video. So if you send it to your guest, they can access it because they have the link, but nobody else can search it and find it. And what we do is in your check-in instructions that you send to your guest upon arrival or 24 hours before they arrive, you add that and you just put a message like, here's a video explaining how to operate the heater for the pool and jacuzzi. They click on the link and boom, they have an explanation video. Let's say you have a barbecue grill that, I don't know, is very maybe complex, not your everyday barbecue, or maybe a sauna, or anything that requires explaining. Create an unlisted video, upload it to YouTube, and include it in your check-in message. The other thing you want to have is welcome books explaining the check-in and checkout procedures. That way you streamline your business and you don't have to explain everything over and over. So essentially anything that is repetitive, you want to automate it. Automate and delegate. The last tip that I have for you is to have a point of contact for your guest. So in my example, I have an in-house manager that manages all of my short-term rentals, and they're here locally where I live in Southern California. And so the guests have their phone number, their name, they know that they can text them or call them for anything that they need. On top of that, I have my virtual assistant in Mexico who handles all the communications. And I let them know in the welcome books and the check-in message, just everywhere possible, hey, if you ever need anything, here's your point of contact. So if you're ready to take your hosting game to the next level, I did create a free ebook. Check it out in the description down below. Absolutely free. Now that you know how to become a better Airbnb host, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell, and check out this video above to learn how much money you can actually make from being an Airbnb host. See you on the next one.